Have you ever met someone who seemed to know exactly what you were thinking before you even said it? Someone who could predict your next move or finish your sentences with scary accuracy. Well, if you've encountered an INFJ, you've probably experienced this firsthand. These rare individuals make up only 1 to 3% of the population. Yet they possess abilities that can genuinely freak people out. Today, we're diving deep into the mysterious world of INFJs and exploring 12 naturally occurring behaviors that often leave others feeling completely spooked. Trust me, by the end of this video, you'll understand why people sometimes call INFJs the psychic personality type. 1. They read people like open books. Here's the thing about INFJs, they're human lie detectors walking among us. It's not magic, though it might seem like it. These individuals have developed an almost supernatural ability to pick up on micro-expressions, body language, and verbal inconsistencies that most people completely miss. When you're talking to an INFJ, they're not just listening to your words. They're analyzing your tone, watching how your eyes move, noticing the slight tension in your shoulders, and picking up on that barely perceptible hesitation before you answered their question. It's like they have X-ray vision for human emotions and motivations. This skill develops naturally because INFJs are constantly observing and processing human behavior. They've been doing it since childhood, often without even realizing it. While other kids were focused on toys or games, young INFJs were studying the adults around them, learning to decode the complex language of human interaction. The terrifying part? They can often tell when you're lying, when you're upset about something you haven't mentioned, or when you're hiding something important. They might not always call you out on it, but they know. And that knowledge sits there, creating an invisible tension that many people find deeply unsettling. Imagine sitting across from someone who can sense your insecurities, your hidden fears, and your unspoken thoughts. That's what it's like for many people when they interact with an INFJ. It's no wonder some folks feel like they're being examined under a microscope. 2. They predict future events with uncanny accuracy. INFJs have this weird ability to see patterns where others see chaos. They're constantly connecting dots that seem completely unrelated to everyone else. This pattern recognition, combined with their intuitive nature, often results in predictions that come true with frightening accuracy. It's not fortune-telling, it's sophisticated pattern analysis happening at a subconscious level. INFJs notice subtle shifts in behavior, environmental changes, and emerging trends long before they become obvious to others. They're like human early warning systems, picking up on signals that most people don't even register. For example, an INFJ might predict that a seemingly happy couple is headed for divorce months before anyone else sees the signs. They notice the decrease in affectionate touches, the slight changes in how they speak to each other, and the way they avoid eye contact during conversations. To everyone else, the couple seems fine. To the INFJ, the writing's on the wall. This predictive ability extends beyond personal relationships. INFJs often have accurate hunches about job market changes, social trends, and even natural events. They might suddenly decide to avoid a certain route home, only to later discover there was a major accident on that road. Or they might get an inexplicable urge to check on a friend, arriving just when that person needed help most. The scary part is how casual they are about these predictions. They'll mention something in passing, and weeks or months later, it happens exactly as they described. People start to wonder if INFJs have some kind of supernatural connection to future events. 3. They know things they shouldn't know. This might be the most unsettling INFJ trait of all. They have an uncanny ability to know information they've never been told, about people they've barely met, in situations where such knowledge should be impossible. It's not telepathy, but it might as well be. INFJs are incredibly skilled at reading between the lines and making accurate inferences from minimal information. They pick up on subtle clues, a photo in the background, a brief expression, an offhand comment, and their minds automatically fill in the blanks with remarkable precision. They might meet you for the first time and somehow know that you grew up in a military family, that you're worried about your aging parents, or that you're considering a career change. They haven't been told any of this information, yet their assessment is spot on. It's like they can see straight into your soul and read your life story. This happens because INFJs are constantly collecting and processing information at a subconscious level. Their brains are pattern-matching machines, comparing new information against their vast database of human behavior and experience. What seems like mysterious knowledge is actually the result of incredibly sophisticated mental processing. But try explaining that to someone who's just been accurately read by an INFJ they've never met before. The experience can be genuinely frightening, leaving people wondering what else this person might know about them. 4. They disappear without warning. One day they're your closest confidant, sharing deep conversations and meaningful moments. The next day, they've vanished into thin air. This is the infamous INFJ door slam, and it's one of their most terrifying behaviors. The door slam isn't about anger or spite, it's about self-preservation. INFJs are highly sensitive to negative energy and toxic behavior. When they've reached their limit with someone, they don't argue or create drama. They simply disappear, cutting off all contact as if that person never existed in their life. What makes this so scary is how sudden and complete it can be. There might be no warning signs, no final argument, no dramatic confrontation. The INFJ just quietly removes themselves from the situation and blocks all forms of communication. Friends, family members, even romantic partners can find themselves completely cut off overnight. The person being door slammed is often left confused and desperate for answers. They might try reaching out through mutual friends, creating new social media accounts, or even showing up at the INFJ's workplace or home. But once an INFJ has made this decision, it's typically permanent. They've mentally and emotionally moved on completely. This behavior stems from the INFJ's need to protect their emotional well-being. They've usually given multiple chances and tried to address problems before resorting to the door slam. By the time they disappear, they've already processed the relationship, grieved its loss, and decided that their mental health requires complete disconnection. 5. They mirror your energy and personality. INFJs are natural chameleons, and this ability can be deeply unsettling to those who witness it. They have an unconscious tendency to mirror the energy, mannerisms, and even personality traits of the people they're with. It's not intentional manipulation, it's an automatic response that happens without their conscious control. When they're with a high-energy, outgoing person, the INFJ becomes more animated and social. With someone who's calm and introspective, they match that peaceful energy. Around someone who's anxious or stressed, they might unconsciously adopt similar behaviors and speech patterns. This mirroring serves multiple purposes. It helps INFJs connect with others more easily, makes people feel understood and comfortable, and allows them to gather information about different personality types. But it can also create some genuinely creepy moments. People might notice that the INFJ is using their exact phrases, copying their gestures, or adopting their communication style. It's like looking in a funhouse mirror, familiar but distorted. Some individuals find this behavior manipulative or fake, not understanding that it's largely involuntary. The really unsettling part is how good INFJs are at this mirroring. They can shift between different personality presentations so smoothly that it raises questions about their authentic self. People start wondering, who is this person really? Which version is the real them? For the INFJ, this constant shifting can be exhausting and confusing. They might struggle with their own identity, wondering which aspects of their personality are genuinely theirs versus absorbed from others. 6. They stare into your soul. INFJs have a particular way of looking at people that can be incredibly intense and uncomfortable. It's not just eye contact. It's like they're trying to see directly into your essence, past all the masks and pretenses you wear. This intense gaze often happens during conversations when the INFJ is really listening and processing what you're saying. They're not just hearing your words. They're analyzing your emotions, reading your body language, and trying to understand the deeper meaning behind your communication. The stare can last longer than socially comfortable, creating moments of awkward tension. People often describe feeling seen in a way that's both profound and unsettling. It's like the INFJ is accessing parts of your personality that you keep hidden from others, maybe even from yourself. This intense focus comes from the INFJ's genuine interest in understanding people at a deep level. They're not trying to make others uncomfortable, but their natural curiosity about human nature can create some pretty intense moments. Many people report feeling exposed or vulnerable under an INFJ's gaze. It's as if all their carefully constructed social facades become transparent, leaving them feeling naked and examined. This can be therapeutic for some and terrifying for others. The INFJ might not even realize they're doing it. They're so naturally focused on reading people that this intense observation has become automatic. But for the person on the receiving end, it can feel like being studied by a scientist or analyzed by a therapist. 7. They sense things others can't feel. INFJs often pick up on atmospheric changes, emotional undercurrents, and environmental shifts that completely escape other people's notice. They walk into a room and immediately sense tension, even when everyone is acting normal. They feel emotional residue from past events and pick up on vibes that others dismiss as imagination. This sensitivity extends beyond human emotions. Many INFJs report sensing changes in weather before they happen, feeling uncomfortable in certain locations without knowing why, or having physical reactions to environmental factors that others don't notice. They might refuse to enter a building because it feels wrong, only to later discover that something traumatic happened there. Or they might insist on leaving a social gathering early because they sense impending conflict, even though everything appears calm on the surface. This heightened sensitivity can make INFJs seem paranoid or overly dramatic to people who don't share these abilities. Friends and family might dismiss their concerns as overreaction or anxiety, not understanding that the INFJ is picking up on real signals that others simply can't detect. The frightening aspect is how often these instincts prove correct. The INFJ who insisted on leaving the party early avoided the dramatic argument that erupted an hour later. The one who refused to go to that restaurant discovered it was shut down the next day for health violations. This sensitivity can be overwhelming for INFJs themselves. They're constantly bombarded with information that others don't receive, making crowded places, emotional situations, and even routine social interactions exhausting and sometimes painful. 8. They remember everything about you. INFJs have elephant-like memories when it comes to people they care about. They remember conversations from years ago, recall exactly how you looked when you told them about your childhood pet, and can recite back things you said that you've completely forgotten. This isn't just good memory, it's selective, emotionally driven information storage. INFJs automatically file away details about people's lives, preferences, fears, dreams, and experiences. They create detailed mental profiles of everyone in their circle, constantly updating and cross-referencing this information. They remember the story you told about your grandmother's ring, your favorite childhood movie, the way your voice changed when you talked about your ex, and that offhand comment you made about wanting to learn guitar. All of this information gets stored and categorized in their mental database. The scary part is how they use this information. They might bring up something you mentioned months ago in a completely different context, connecting dots between conversations in ways that can be startling. They remember not just what you said, but how you said it, what you were wearing, and what the weather was like that day. This comprehensive memory can make people feel simultaneously cherished and exposed. It's wonderful to have someone who remembers your birthday, your favorite coffee order, and the names of all your pets. But it can also be unsettling to realize that someone has been cataloging and storing every detail of your interactions. For some people, this level of attention and memory feels invasive. They worry about what the INFJ might remember about their less flattering moments, their contradictions, or their personal struggles. It's like having a walking, talking diary of your life in human form. 9. They manipulate situations without you knowing. INFJs are master strategists when it comes to social situations, and their ability to subtly influence outcomes can be genuinely frightening. They don't usually manipulate for selfish gain, but rather to create harmony, avoid conflict, or help others reach better decisions. This manipulation is sophisticated and nearly invisible. They might steer conversations in certain directions, arrange seating to prevent potential conflicts, or time their interventions perfectly to maximize positive outcomes. They're like social chess masters, thinking several moves ahead and positioning people and situations to achieve desired results. For example, an INFJ might notice that two friends have been having subtle tensions. Instead of addressing it directly, they might organize group activities that naturally highlight each person's positive qualities, create opportunities for private reconciliation, and gradually guide both parties toward resolution without either realizing they're being managed. They excel at reading group dynamics and knowing exactly when to speak up, when to remain silent, and how to phrase things to achieve maximum impact. They can defuse tensions with a perfectly timed joke, redirect negative energy with a thoughtful question, or plant seeds of ideas that others will later claim as their own insights. The terrifying aspect is how invisible this influence is. People might leave interactions with an INFJ feeling better about themselves and their situations without understanding why. They've been subtly guided toward better outcomes, but the manipulation was so skillful they never noticed it happening. This ability comes from the INFJ's deep understanding of human psychology combined with their desire to create positive outcomes. They're not trying to control people for personal gain, but their skill at social engineering can be unsettling when people finally recognize what's been happening. 10. They see through your masks and facades. Perhaps the most unnerving INFJ ability is their capacity to see past all the personas, masks, and facades that people wear in daily life. They can identify the insecure person hiding behind arrogance, the scared individual masquerading as aggression, and the lonely soul presenting as self-sufficient. INFJs naturally look beyond surface presentations to understand the authentic person underneath. They're not fooled by designer clothes, impressive job titles, or carefully crafted social media personas. Instead, they focus on authentic emotional expression, genuine motivations, and real character. This X-ray vision for human authenticity means that typical social games and impression management tactics simply don't work with INFJs. They see through pickup lines, professional networking schmoozing, and social climbing behaviors. They respond to genuine connection rather than superficial charm. The frightening part is how this makes people feel exposed and vulnerable. All the carefully constructed images they present to the world become transparent in the presence of an INFJ. People might feel like their deepest insecurities and hidden shames are visible, even when nothing has been explicitly discussed. INFJs often connect with the parts of people that others ignore or dismiss: the wounded inner child, the suppressed creative spirit, or the hidden sensitive soul. This can be profoundly healing for those ready to be truly seen, but terrifying for those who've built their identity around their masks. 11. They experience prophetic dreams and visions. Many INFJs report having vivid dreams that later come true or experiencing sudden visions of future events. While this might sound mystical, it's likely their subconscious minds processing vast amounts of information and presenting conclusions through symbolic imagery. These prophetic experiences can range from mundane daily events to significant life changes. An INFJ might dream about running into an old friend and encounter them the next day, or have a vision of a family member in distress just before receiving a concerning phone call. The dreams are often symbolic rather than literal, requiring interpretation to understand their meaning. An INFJ might dream about a flood and later experience emotional overwhelm, or vision a building collapse before a major life structure, job, relationship, living situation falls apart. What makes this particularly unsettling is the accuracy rate of these predictive dreams. INFJs often develop a healthy respect for their subconscious warnings, learning to pay attention to particularly vivid or emotionally charged dreams. They might change plans based on a troubling dream, avoid certain situations because of visions, or reach out to people they've seen in concerning dream scenarios. When these intuitive actions prove justified, it reinforces the mystical reputation that surrounds INFJs. 12. They influence others' emotional states. INFJs have a powerful ability to shift the emotional atmosphere of any space they enter. Their own emotional state can be contagious, spreading to others without conscious effort from anyone involved. This emotional influence can be both healing and disturbing. When an INFJ is feeling peaceful and centered, they can calm an entire room of anxious people. Their presence alone can soothe tensions, reduce stress, and create a sense of safety and understanding. Many people seek out INFJs specifically for this calming influence. However, when an INFJ is struggling emotionally, their distress can also spread to others. People might find themselves feeling inexplicably sad, anxious, or unsettled after spending time with an emotionally turbulent INFJ, even if nothing obvious was shared. This emotional contagion happens because INFJs are highly empathetic and emotionally expressive, even when they're trying to hide their feelings. Others unconsciously pick up on their emotional broadcasts and begin to mirror those feelings. The frightening aspect is how automatic and unconscious this process is. Neither the INFJ nor the people around them realize that emotional transfer is happening. It's only in retrospect that people might notice the correlation between their mood changes and their interactions with particular INFJs. Conclusion: INFJs are fascinating, complex individuals whose natural abilities can seem almost supernatural to those who don't understand the psychological mechanisms behind them. These 8 terrifying behaviors: reading people accurately, predicting future events, knowing impossible things, disappearing suddenly, mirroring others, intense staring, supernatural sensitivity, perfect memory, subtle manipulation, seeing through facades, prophetic dreams, and emotional influence, all stem from their unique combination of intuition, empathy, and analytical thinking. It's important to remember that these abilities aren't intentionally scary or manipulative. INFJs are typically using these skills to understand, help, and connect with others on a deeper level. Their motivations are usually positive, even when their methods can be unsettling. Understanding these INFJ traits can help both INFJs and the people in their lives navigate relationships more effectively. For INFJs, recognizing these abilities can help them use their gifts more consciously and considerately. For others, understanding these behaviors can reduce fear and increase appreciation for the unique perspective INFJs bring to the world. The next time you encounter someone who seems to know more than they should, predicts things with uncanny accuracy, or makes you feel completely understood in a way that's both wonderful and terrifying, you might just be experiencing the natural abilities of an INFJ. Rather than being frightened, consider yourself lucky to witness one of humanity's most fascinating personality types in action.